Hello everybody. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Annie banners. Now, this has been a hot topic lately with WUA Second Annie being under fire, and I've noticed that there's a lot of revisionism around the criticism for these banners, why they got criticized, because there's a lot of people who love this game trying to shift the blame towards the community and saying that they don't know what they want since they originally complained about the banners and are now complaining that they are gone. However, context is needed here. People who are always trying to blindly defend these gacha companies will purposely leave out context, and it's obviously for a purposeful reason. They are trying to push an agenda and not see it from both sides of the light, right? I have seen this across social media, on Reddit especially. I've seen it on Twitter especially. I've even seen a few WUA creators' videos at this point. One, some guy named Analytical something, he has like a track record of being pretty tribalist when it comes to this game and being pretty unfair towards Hoyo games. I mean, it's not a surprise at this point. This is like normal among a ton of WUA creators. However, at the end of the day, there's nothing you can fucking do about it, right? He's going to keep making the content he makes. So, let me get straight into it. One of the main reasons why the Annie banners were originally criticized is because, well, to call them Annie banners is generous. They are literally just normal banners. There isn't a lower hard pity, there isn't a better soft pity, there isn't a better percentage chance at getting the character. It's just 10 more character banners added on a mid-anniversary that already wasn't even giving the most pulls in the world. It was good, it gave a good amount of pulls. However, it gave like 140 total, I believe, with the apology compensation, and like 8 of these pulls were locked behind the Gilded Night market, which forced you, if you wanted to get them, to pull like 80 times on limited banners, right? So this was the problem with the first WUA Annie banners. It was combined with the Gilded Night market, in which if you wanted the full patches pull count, you had to force yourself to pull on some limited banners, which might have led to some people wasting their guaranteed on weapon banner. Even if you're not on a guaranteed, you're on high pity. If you want to get these Gilded Night market pulls, you're incentivized to pull right now. If you lose the 50-50, you might want to consider, maybe spending money for FOMO. It was an entire shit show. It was the entire architecture around this anniversary that made the first Annie banners really, really annoying, because once again, they were just normal character banners and people had higher expectations, considering the other Kuro game, PGR, gets just way better rewards and way better banner rates in comparison to WUA, right? So that is one of the main criticisms. It is the fact that these banners were not special and people expected a little more from them, right? The next thing, the other criticism, is short notice. This shit was announced like weeks before the patch. If you announce it 2 patches prior, maybe 1.5 patches prior, there won't be anywhere near the amount of the same complaints. However, that was not the case. And this isn't even me having a double standard. This is the main reason why I criticized the Archer 200 pull spending event in 3.4 of HSR. It was because they announced it like 2-3 weeks before the patch actually dropped. If you were to announce this shit like 2 patches earlier so that people actually could attain those 200 pulls, I wouldn't complain anywhere near as much. I'd still complain, but I wouldn't be as serious about it. However, you did this shit and announced it legit 2 weeks prior, and it caught a shit ton of people off guard. You're clearly trying to induce FOMO into your player base, and I'm going to call that out. The same thing happened with the WUA Annie banners. It is just their surprise announced way close to the patch. Some people didn't, save enough pulls, and it just led to an entire shit show, especially if, as I mentioned earlier, you already had built up pity, you're already on a guarantee. It just leads to people's polling plans being completely fucked because they're caught by surprise, right? However, here's the thing. People were caught by surprise. A big reason why these Annie banners were hated on so much was because it was surprising. Now, people actually have something to go off of. They can assume these Annie banners are going to happen again on the second anniversary, and that is exactly what most people did. Even if they criticized the first Annie banners for all the flaws it had, they realized these banners are probably going nowhere, and it's probably going to be a reoccurring special event on every single anniversary. Kind of similar to the golden tokens in HSR, where you really only get those often on the anniversaries guaranteed. So when people are excited for the second anniversary, not only are they excited because they are actually prepared this time for all these banners, but also the circumstances have changed. How have they changed? Well, older characters are starting to not get banners anymore, right? Around the first anniversary, this wasn't an issue. It was still the first year of the game, and there was more version 1 characters on the playable roster than there were version 2 characters. So version 1 characters were still getting their reruns. However, now that we're in version 3, everything has changed. If your name is not SK, your chances of being reran as a version 1 character are basically non-existent. So a lot of people who have been looking forward to maybe upgrading their older characters, getting some version 1 characters if you're a new player, anything like that, you would obviously be excited waiting for these anniversary banners. And now these anniversary banners are suddenly gone. So these older characters that used to rerun and are no longer rerunning now, so you put your hopes into the anniversary banners, that is gone, meaning the circumstances have changed. The value of the Annie banners in today's age is higher than it was when it originally released. And something else I want to quickly mention around the criticisms of the first Annie banners, and a lot of people blaming the community for why they're gone, need to kind of look at it in a different light. The main complaints around the Annie banners was that there was nothing special around them, right? Kuro could have easily gone the route of buffing these banners in any way, whether it be increased percentage on the character rate, even just a buff to like 75% instead of 50%, maybe less hard pity, better soft pity, higher chance of getting the character percentage wise. People would have taken probably any of these changes to the anniversary banners and then complained way less than they did, because the anniversary banners just didn't feel like Annie banners. Instead, Kuro decided to go the route of just completely removing these banners from existence instead of even slightly improving them. That goes to show you that Kuro is the one being stingy and unfair here, and it is absolutely idiotic to be blaming the community for having wanted more from the game's anniversary. I'm telling you right now, this anniversary, although much better content-wise and as a patch, in terms of rewarding their player base, is barely better than the first one. The first anniversary, combined with the apology compensation, is around 140 limited pulls. The current one is estimated to be at about 150 limited pulls. The difference between the first anniversary rewards, which were considered already incredibly underwhelming in comparison to its peers, to the version 3 anniversary is 10 pulls. You get 10 more limited pulls. That is all they listen to. And that's what makes it so much more gut-wrenching for a lot of people. A lot of people had some expectations for this second anniversary because of the fact that they even went out of their way to address that they were listening to the community feedback and they were going to then improve the second anniversary rewards. You can say that, oh, the reason the player base, the reason they removed the banners is because of the community feedback. That wasn't even the main complaint of the anniversary. If they actually did listen to their community, they would have added a unique reward, being being a free limited 5-star, even if it was an older out of meta character, because that was the main negative feedback that they were receiving back then, and not the Annie banners. Yet instead of improving the Annie banners or giving a unique reward, they said fuck you to both of these. Here's 10 more pulls and you're gonna enjoy this anniversary. And that is why people are not happy, right? So just a very, very quick video to clear up a lot of the agenda pushing and misinformation that there is around, like, people hard defending this game and trying to justify the banners being gone because players complained about it before. You need to understand the context and why people were complaining about it when they first released, and also how these circumstances have changed and how the Annie banners are much more valuable in today's age in comparison to before. Some of these version 1 characters are probably never going to see a banner again unless Kuro buffs them, and currently there is zero information around Kuro buffing these characters. Zero plans, zero leaks, nada. You could be waiting 1 or 2 years until Gion gets buffed again and he finally gets another rerun, and most people don't want to rely on that. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great night. Peace out.